Hello everyone, hello YouTubers. Today I will be taking you through the basic steps of how to make a big room house track. So if you want to know, stay tuned. Let's get started. Okay, hey guys. So when we're making a big room house track, it's very important to understand that what this genre is all about. The first thing is the key is almost always F, F sharp or G minor. It's always in minor and very often in harmonic minor scale. I will come back to that. A big room house track usually consists of 3 parts. The first one being the intro with a light kick so that the DJs can mix the tracks together with a little drum beat going on, and then introducing the melodic part of the song. This is often played by a big cheesy rave synth, and part 2 is the drop, which usually consists of snares going faster and faster and with a cheesy bass line. And then someone says something cool, and then a drop comes. And then we have 2 alternatives. We either have a big cheesy rave line playing the melody, or we have a pluck, which is kind of Martin Garrix's signature. And there's also a very subby kick going on under there. So I will show you how to do this now. Let's get into it. Hello guys, let's get into it. So now the first thing we're gonna do is start with the kick. We're gonna open up the EXS24 sampler, and we're gonna pick a kick. A sampler is simply an engine which allows you to convert audio files into MIDI information so that it will be easier for you to put it in your arrangement. I will now pick this kick right here. I called it Nicky Romero because I sampled it partly from him. I think it's a pretty good kick. It's pretty short and punchy. It sounds like this. And yeah, we're just gonna start with recording that in and making yeah, getting getting this track going. All right, so that's about it. Now the first thing you need to do is with kicks, you want them to be really tight. So you click here on quantize, and you quantize them to 16th. So now they will be completely on the beat. We will set the tempo to 128 also. Like that. And now you press Command 4, and then it's going to open up this menu. This allows you to manipulate your MIDI information. So here, for example, we have the velocity, so you can edit the volume of the actual tracks. I like to put mine on 80, so I can mix them from here, so that they won't clip. If you put them too loud, they will probably clip. So like this, and you also want them to be the same note length. This isn't so important for drum synths, but for real synths, it's very important to have them the same value if you want that. Of course, it depends on the music. Like that, nice and punchy. All right. So the first thing we need to do with a kick is this is a lot of bottom end, and usually one creates a kick, a top kick, and sometimes I like to do this. I create a top kick, which is basically just a hi-hat with almost with just high frequencies, so that it kind of is the cherry on the cake. I will duplicate this track now, and now it's just doubled, so it will be double the volume you can see here. However, this is not my intention. I will now send them to a bus. I will use bus 30. I just like to do it this way, and I will and it creates an auxiliary track right here. I will call this kick. All right. So and that one as well will be sent to the bus 30, so that we can process them together. All right. So the first thing we're noticing is that the volume is too loud, and we're kind of lacking something. Let's do some EQ. The usual thing is to cut around 40 hertz, depending on how much sub you want in your bass. Anything below, I would say 35 or 40 hertz is just rumble, and we'll add a slight boost on the bass here. We can turn on the analyzer. Always click high because you can see the frequencies better, and just loop that, and we'll listen to it. You can hear that it's very prominent on the low frequencies from 50 to 100, and we're gonna take advantage of that. So I will give it a little boost here, remove the 500s, and that's the trick, guys. Usually around 500, if you just do like this, it's a 4.5 dB cut, it will remove much of the rumble, and it will be giving it the required punch. Alright, so we soloed that, and it's beginning to sound pretty good. The next thing, we're gonna do is the top kick. We'll just name them kick and top kick. Alright, so the top kick will be obviously needing a lot of high end. I'm sorry, we need to cut this from the of course, when we're separating the kicks like this, it's very important to cut them so that they won't fight with each other's frequency room. So we just go like this, and you hear what sounds good, but around there, because if you cut all the way just to the lower frequencies, it will take away the punctuation, the much of the punch. So on our top kick here, we're gonna do a pretty drastic low cut. All right, so we'll cut to around 1K and see how that sounds. Okay, so that's almost not almost just a click. We'll cut a little less. There we're starting to. All right, so we're around 200. It's fine. 164 hertz. Sorry, and we'll hear them together. The more professional sound, you can hear it already coming through. So this kick is pretty full and pretty. I like it, so I won't add a top kick, but you can as well, of course, and that would be just to take a hi-hat from maybe the techno drum kit or something, and just adding it on the fourths. All right, so now we're gonna compress these together to kind of glue them together. Remember, we made an auxiliary track right here, and then we'll just go on dynamics compressor, and this is very important to not kick the ratio too high on the compressor. But you want us maybe from a 1 to 2 on the kick, not so much depending on the kick. If it's very sloppy, if it's a bad kick to start with, you can compress the hell out of it. But I would recommend just picking a good sample to start with, and then doing little small tweaks from there. Okay, so this is good, and now we'll bypass it. It sounds a little buffer. And it's important to not be fooled by the gain, because it's on default 4, and often when you hear things that are louder, you think it's better, but it's really not. So we want volume neutral plugins. So it's the same volume now. Now we'll just drag them both over here, and then we'll just create a drum loop from there. And here it's just being creative, For example, we can add a snare. So I really like this kit for the snare. it's a pretty nice sounding. Obviously, way too loud. Let's just play that in. Alright, so that's pretty cool. Remember quantize everything, and we will also do the note length thing and the volume thing here. Over here to 80, and then just click operate only. Now we'll take a listen. And that one came too late. I'm sorry, this was like that. And we won't need this, so we'll just loop the first part here and just go to the scissor tool. We'll cut it right away, and we can loop that as well. Now, if you're sitting with headphones or you're listening to your default computer speakers, this is gonna sound bad, and it's gonna sound buzzy. The kick is gonna sound buzzy, and this is because every computer speaker by default sucks. And if you don't have headphones, you know, to $1,000, you're not gonna hear the good frequencies. You know, if you're thinking about buying Beats, for example, don't buy Beats. They suck and they're completely overpriced. So buy yourself a pair of speakers. Don't need to be too expensive, but just so you can really hear the punch in the low mid. That's very crucial when mixing and making electronic music. Okay, so this is nice. Now I'm just gonna fill out the drums a little bit, and I'll be right back. Okay guys, I'm back. So what I've done here is just add a few toms, and more importantly, added an EQ and a reverb. So if you remove these plugins, and I will come back to this later, but if you remove, I bust every drum, here you can see, over to this channel. I call them drums, and I can do like this. This is really important to color to name things, and everything, to keep a system on your track. So that's green, and I can also do, if I just say that, okay, this is green, so it will be corresponding to the color on the arrangement window. The kick, I would, for some reason, I always make it red, but of course that's up to you. And then also this will be red. So now it's easier to see. All right. So this is what it sounds like. And I'm not going to. If you want to hear some of my tracks, I've only put out one now, but I will probably put out another one soon. I have a lot of tracks that I can put out if you guys want, and it's gonna sound much more professional, much more mixed down, much more, you know, everything. It's gonna be just a ton of instruments. However, I just wanted to show you in an easy way how to make, and you know, so you can get an understanding of what the big room house genre is really all about. So, but here I have added a reverb and a channel EQ. I really like the gold verb in Logic. I've used Fab Filter. I've used some of Isotope stuff. I've used even the Avicii's producers. I have made a plugin as well. But the Logic reverbs they're just great. Okay, so now I'll remove the EQ and the reverb, and you can hear. You know, now it sounds like something you could do in Paint or something. But now you added the reverb. and that's doing a lot. So not too much. I've mixed it down to 30%, and I used the default presets and just tweaked things a little bit, and I just gave it a boost around 1K so that the clap will punch through a little bit more. So you can hear. All right, so it's all right. Usually the big room tracks are gonna have very aggressive, lots of things happening in the intros, and that's and that you can just make yourself. It's not hard. Just sample something. Just use samples from Vengeance. Just big snares. Just put them all over the place. Put a punchy kick in and just a big sweep, and then you're done. However, I will show you one of the most, I think, most important things in dance music, and there's a lot of talk about Vengeance and discussions, and is it right to use it, and you hear it in every single track. Martin Garrix, half of his instruments in his arrangements, they're Vengeance, so but really they're awesome, they're great. If you thing is, Vengeance has everything. So if you make an effect your own, it's gonna sound like one Vengeance effect, one of the Vengeance effects anyways. So why use time to reproduce them when you can just use them from sample packages? Now there's a really big issue with the creativity aspect of it, and it's really important to be creative and use them in a way that's helping you and not making the track. But I really think you should use them so they can be a great asset to your producing. Okay, so now this is an important part. I have just added a riser from Vengeance, and it sounds like this. Bit of high end and then filtering it down, the high cut filter. And it doesn't really glue into the mix. It sounds like something is just added on top of everything. So, and here comes sidechain compression, of course. I will now do some ghost compression, as some call it. We'll just call it ghosts, and we'll copy these. And you guys probably know how to do this, but I will show you anyways. On the stereo out here, you click no output. This is gonna sound counterintuitive, but I will show you what it's for. And I will bus it to bus 5. I like to use bus 5. Send it to about 1 dB. I like to use it. And the auxiliary track, you can just delete. The auxiliary track right there. Okay, so delete anyway. All right. So now we have a completely silent track, right? But what we're gonna do with this is we're gonna sidechain compress some stuff, and this is maybe the most important tool in dance music as a whole. You go into the compressor, sidechain, and bus 5. We bust it to there. And from here you can choose the ratio and pull the threshold a bit down. Here is quite a powerful compression because we want it to really make the whooshing effect. I don't know what to call it, but it's gonna sound like this. And yeah, we can just hear the entire thing now. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with that. And now we're gonna go over to the exciting part, the creating of the melodies, the build up and the drop. Alright. So we start out with the best 3 plugins to use for synths is and you can't even discuss it. It's Nexus 2, of course, Silent 1, Massive, and those are the 3 that are used by absolutely everyone. Even if you go to Skrillex, you go to whatever kind of mainstream artist Avicii, Martin Garrix, and to the complete like acid techno or just deep house or something. Everyone is gonna use it. And why is that? It's because they are the best. So of course we're gonna hop on that train as well. So let's just go here to Silent One, and probably everyone is familiar with this. I got the pirate copied version, of course, which everyone has. So and now we're gonna make a. Now we're gonna have it kind of whoosh into the introducing of the melody, and that is typically done by just having the melody played first and then have the chords back them up afterwards. So now let's just create a melody for you. I will come back to you. Okay, hey guys, I'm back. So now just created a simple melody for you here in Silent One. I used a preset called Plucko Bar. It's in the original Silent One pack. No special effects, no nothing. I put nothing on it, but it sounds like this. Okay, so now there was something wrong in the rhythmic line. Let me just fix. There we go. All right, so this is a typical big house melody. What's important to remember in big house, and I really wanted to say this to you. Because my experience is that a lot of people who are doing this producing, DJing, and they have limited or no knowledge of at all of functional harmonics or musical theory at all. But and if you think this sounds boring, it's not, because it's really helpful. The big I would just want to say this: the big room genre is almost it's in every single track of it's in minor, so that's the first thing. And if a track is in minor, it just means that there's in the scale that there's a minor third and a minor sixth. But that's not too important. But the important thing is that which minor scale is it? It's the harmonic minor scale. And this is very important to remember if you at all want to get close to the big room house sound. And I can play it for you. It sounds like this. And this is important. Listen closely. Instead of me playing, I erase the seventh note of the scale. Just listen. This one. And that's why if we are in A minor now, and I wanted to do a chord progression, I could, for example, do like this. And you hear this chord is the dominant chord of this chord, and it's important to remember this because that's what creates the sound. Now, anyways, this is the melody, and it's in F minor. One thing you also want to notice is that perhaps you look at keys as something just random. You just pick a key, and it doesn't matter which one it is. You just pick some notes that you think are in the scale, and you have a chord, and then you just move it parallelly around the screen, and then you try to create a melody while listening to it while you're creating it, and then that's completely fine. But in big room there are, I would say, 4 or maybe 3 keys that are used. I mean, every other scale is they're not used at all. So we're talking E minor, F minor, F sharp minor, and G minor. And this is because the bass note of those keys, obviously in E minor it's E, F minor it's F, and so on. This is in F minor. That's because most of the sub bass needs to make a lot of sound in big room house, and on the E, the low E, the F, the F sharp, and the G, it sounds full and big. Once you go below E, like E flat, D, and so on, you can't really hear it because it's too low for the human ear or for any speaker that's not worth tens of thousands of dollars. And if you go over G, it doesn't sound as buff. So I would recommend F and G minor. Just keep it simple and do it in those keys. Alright, so this is an F minor. Probably my favorite key for big room house. Alright, welcome back to part whatever this is, and if you haven't listened to my previous parts, I will recommend you doing that. Alright, so now we have our little mix going on, and we just talked a little bit about the melody. There are a couple of things that are very important in big room house. That's the most important effect, which you can all imagine, is just put tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of reverb on every single instrument you have, almost. A little exception is, some of the drums, maybe some of the basses, the kick, but for example here, it got a bit of a reverb from Silent One, and this is actually a really good reverb, but we just want to crank it up even more. And just add a little bit more wet, so get the atmospheric feeling. Atmospheric. That's an absolute key word here in big room music. So now we have our melody, and after it had played one time, so this is four bars. We wanted to kick in with some nice chords, and I will be back when I have created some nice chord progression. Alright guys, so I'm back, and now I've created a nice melody, a nice chord progression, I'm sorry, and of course it ends with this, of course, the fifth chord in the scale, which is C major in this case, or C minor, but since we're doing big room, it's C major, and this is very important with a major thirds here. You can see if we'd lowered these thirds, it wouldn't give such a excitement in the chord. So like this. This is very typical big room. Okay, so of course I did the marimba, which is just from Logic's own preset bank. It's a sample from EX24. I just picked it for the sake of this tutorial. Something I probably wouldn't use, and of course Martin Garrix's famous riff here. Of course, it's a very similar sound, but here as well, of course, we're gonna add some just a little bit of reverb, and we're gonna use the gold verb for this as well. I really like it, and just choose ambience for this. So this is very nice. I've also added an impact from Vengeance. This is a very important tool to just break down everything and signal it's coming a new part, So we'll have this so far. I can do the metronome off, I'm sorry. Okay, so the melody is kind of fucked up. I restored it in this one, so like that, and then of course everything comes in. Okay, so now I have my Vengeance Club essentials here always. Just it's a security for me, just to be able to, when I get the idea, just to pick out the effect. Vengeance, the third volume here on FX, it's got a lot of great sweeps. It's a bit loud, so I'll just turn down the volume a little bit. Okay, so this one. We just want something. Let's. Well, that was the one we used before, so maybe not that one. So, something that's very high-ending. We can use. We can use that one. That sounds great. So we'll just add a new effect, so we can to it, so we can mix them separately. We'll name them afterwards. I forgot to do so, and we'll add a sweep up, of course, as well. That's nice. Okay, so I dig that. I will just add this right in. Most of these effects are rendered to the 128 BPM. This one is not, however, but it's not a problem. We can, if we just zoom in a little bit, we can make sure it fits properly with our mix. All right, so it will kind of lead in to our next sweep. We'll pull these knobs down a little bit, because the Vengeance stuff is always very loud, which is nice, of course. I will name this FX2 and FX3, and of course FX4. And I tend to keep my audio files at the bottom, and this is just for overview purposes. So let's have a listen. Okay, so it's very sidechain compressed. This one you can hear it has a filter on it, but perhaps we can use it anyways. It sounds alright. Okay, so we have a nice thing going on in the start here, but it doesn't sound as full as I would like it to do. So I'll just add. And this is called, we'll just call it a pre-lead. And we call this melody. And we call this pre-lead 2. This is called layering. And it's very important to have your, almost all your synths layered, just to get, the fullness, so they will be exciting, not boring to listen to. Obviously this is quite boring. Even with the reverb, it's I will actually just add a bit of room size to that, so we have a bit more stuff going on. The pre-lead 2 will obviously not be a marimba as well. We'll pick out. I will use a pluck. I tried to recreate an Apollo pluck from the track Apollo by Hardwell, if you know that one, and it's a very nice pluck, very standard. Pluck. I use it on a lot of my tracks. It's a very good plugin. I saved it right here, and that's obviously very loud, so I'll just pull that one down. Okay, so that's nice. And we can add a bit of depth to our synth. That sounds good. Okay, that's nice. Now we just copied it, so it will have the same presets, so we won't bother to buzz it out, but you probably should the next time for mixing purposes. However, this is not a track that's going to be released. However, if you want me to, I'm sure I can post it. Right, so we have our little intro going on. And obviously we want to develop something here. We wanted to evolve the song. So it's very usual to have kind of a big, cheesy rave synth, which is probably the easiest thing ever to make in Silent. I have plenty of presets. You can have them if you would like. There also is a great lot of presets out there, and in Silent from before as well, just the basic super saw, and it will do the work for you. Martin Garrix uses them in almost every single track. All right, so we wanted, of course, it to expand and to continue on with our melody. So we'll just loop that out. And this one will have whoops. And yeah, we click on create a new software instrument, and we call it just cheese, because it's gonna be our cheesy rave synth. So of course, Silent one. I've called it. So we can do have something. For example, the Swedish House Mafia 2. I think that's pretty cheesy. It's super loud, of course. It's clipping already. We can just pull the output down a little bit. Of course, never do that in the final mix. Okay, so we want to copy that, and also we want it to play our melody on top of it. So we'll just copy these MIDI files right here. We'll copy them into. Of course, it can't be. It's usually we do our melodies on top of our notes, so that it will punch through more than the mix, and also will EQ the high end a bit when we are using super saws like this. So now let's have a listen. Okay, so this is boring. We want some rhythmical variations or something. So, and obviously these notes are too short. They are worth 1, while these others are 2. So we'll command 4 again, and fix them to like this. Now they have all the same volume, which is 80, and it will create we'll just octave everything down. We want it to be bigger. And we can, for example, this one, we can use the scissor to make a few rhythmical variations, for example, like this. It's sounding very much like a helicopter, but and we can do it on here as well, you know, just creating it and shorten it so it will be creating kind of a staccato effect. We want to make it exciting for our listeners to listen to. Okay, so here you see it's not on the note. It's not playing the same rhythm as the chord. And is that a problem? No, it's not a problem at all. I see a lot of people, they're making house tracks, and they just start out with making a melody, and they just put these things, MIDI things, they put them like down under each other, and just drag them, just use the same intervals every time on every melody part, and that way you will not create a musical melody at all. You will just create a mechanical, boring, bad melody. So what we have here is a bit more dynamic going on, even though this took me, a minute, but Okay, so we can like that. Obviously, the reverb is just crazy on this one. So we'll take out the delay. We'll take the reverb and do the damp. Often creates a lot of fuss in the mix. So like this. Okay, so that's maybe a little. Too little, so you just have to go on like this and make sure every sound is just the way you want them to be. Obviously we want a riser as well here. We'll just copy that one, and we're gonna need an impact as well, so like this. And now you have two options. You can either make the melody a part of the drop, so you can put snares going under this and then drop right from there. But I will do the more traditional or classical way, and I will first introduce the melody like this. Just repeat it after this. And here as well, we wanted to layer it, and we can just use these old ones. They will work perfectly. And if you will just give me a second, I will. I'll be right back. Okay guys, for the sake of this tutorial, I will mix everything badly, and that's because I won't use as much time on it as I would usually. But in Logic, this you gotta know is that it will, especially Silent, Massive, Nexus, it will boost. It has a booster inside of the synths, which makes the volume just super loud. And then you need to mix everything down to, I'd say, minus 20 dBs, minus 25, 30, and things like that. Especially these Vengeance samples as well. And this is because just when you're done with the mix, you're off to mastering and you're down to compressing and to do everything. If your mix is clipping inside of the plugins, it will just sound distorted, and it's gonna be a hell of a EQ surgery required to do anything about it. So keep your volume super low, and then you can just limit the hell out of it afterwards, because that's what everybody else does. Alright. So now I'll just make it so that it will clip, but it's not gonna be audible, as it's called, and that's because I want to keep the music the same level as my voice. Alright, so we have the synth, and after the synth, obviously, again, these three. Right, remember that, guys. Impact, rise up, rise down. From Vengeance, it's just so important. It brings everything together. Of course, you can do it yourself. I can show you how to do that as well. And sometimes you will get a very special and creative results, and then by all means use that. So now we want to create a build-up, and obviously you all know how to record in and use MIDI information to make your snares and everything. So I want to do that now. I will just use my sample right here. Let's listen to a couple of these. Okay, so we'll just go with this one that I've created for another track. Alright, so it's a combination of sampled and things I've made on my own. Okay, so I forgot to make it an audio file. Of course, you need that for samples. I created this one instead. It's gonna turn green, but that doesn't matter. Delete that. Call it a snare build, and we'll see how it sounds. Okay, so it's too loud, so it's skipping, but don't care about that. So we want something to fill in our drop with, you know, something. Martin Garrix often uses just basses, arpeggiators, or sequencers, hovers, whatever it's called. We'll use Silent 1 for this one as well, of course. Silent 1. And let's see what we got here. So this is our basic arpeggios, which you'll find in the Silent 1 immediately. So, you know, it sounds kind of crappy, but for the sake of this tutorial, you know, this is absolutely something one can use. Okay, so we'll just have it play all over. We'll have to play to about there, because the build-up, sorry, is basically consisting of two parts. You have from in my case from bar 21 to 25, which is when snares play on the fourths, and then you have here which when snares play 8 notes and then 16 notes, and then you have a vocal drop, and then you say something like "We're the fucking animals" or something like that. Okay, so this note I want it to be super tight, and that's important, so it will be on time. It's rendered automatically to what tempo you're in. Okay, so I'll have that go right to bar 25 when our snares will start to really build up, and then we'll have a pitch rise. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Okay, so it's lacking something, obviously, and that's white noise. I will tell you that right away. White noise is obviously, you probably know how to use it in the ESP synth, which is just right here. You just you know, do the full noise and take off all the oscillators. However, we'll just use Vengeance for this one as well. Vengeance all the way. We're gonna take a sweep up, and these sweeps often are a bit too short, but we can hear if we find someone that's good. Too short, too short, too short, too short. Okay, so this is better. However, this is a pitch bend build-up. We don't want that. We want just some. There we go. All right, so this has a pitch. This definitely has a pitch, but it works. It will work for this purpose. So we want just to. So the vocal drop will be. right here between the third part of bar 28, and therefore we want our riser to stop right there, like that. And we'll just cut off what we don't need, which is in the start, like this. You can hear the riser in the background. Obviously the snare has to be a little louder. Okay, so we'll do a bit longer vocal drop on this one. Just take out this like this. Okay, hey guys, I found the vocal sample now. It's Everybody Fucking Jump. I've used it in a previous track. Every DJ has one track with this sample. It's just so known, but it works very much just to build up the crowd, like that. Everybody fucking jump! Okay, so it even has an added sub bass going, which is being slowed down with this function right here, and it has a snare as well. Fucking jump! Boom. So this will work just perfectly. We don't have to do all the work. Everybody fucking jump! However, you want something to kind of count the fourths, which will create a more drive to it. So we'll say everybody fucking jump! Like that. We'll have 4 snares go in. Everybody, and everybody fucking jump! I played them in a little bad. Let me just fix that, like this. And then we'll create our. Everybody fucking jump! Okay, so everybody fucking jump! It seems as though it's quite fine. However, I think this was recorded in something that was about 128.4 BPM or something, just to be a dick, you know. So this one needs definitely to be everybody fucking jump! To be moved a bit like that. Everybody fucking jump! That's better. All right, so now it's completely on the bar and to the drop, which you've all been waiting for. Okay, the drop. I've collected a few samples of kicks, and I can, of course, if you ask for it, make a video on how to do these kind of kicks, very characteristic kicks. But for now, I'll just use a sample for you guys. And I will use this kick. It's in F minor. It's a good one. It sounds like, and I've just dragged it out so it will be so that they will. It's in 128, as you can see, in F minor as the key we're in, and it's very important to have the bass, the kick, the same key as you're in, because a lot of people forget this, and it will create just a big dissonance in your track. So try to stay out of the everybody fucking jump! Okay. Now I forgot something in our mix, of course, and that's a pitch riser, and almost every build needs a pitch riser, and and the way you do that is you just play in a couple of notes. You can for this tutorial I will just use a preset from Silent here. So this will work just fine. First, we'll need to put the bend range to full on 24 so that it will bend 2 octaves when you pull it to full. We'll just start like this. Okay, we'll quantize that as before, make it so that everyone has the note value 1. We'll fix the velocity to make it 80, so it will be easier to mix and won't have any peaks. We're kind of compressing. It's manually compressing. That's what it really is. Okay, now we're just gonna copy these notes to this as well. Obviously, we don't want our last bar to play, because that's when the vocal kicks in. Now you just want to copy and make it faster and faster, like this. So now you have. Everybody fucking jump! That doesn't sound good at all. However, if we click here, we can do a pitch bend riser. You click here, you start on 0, and on about here you want it to come to 64. And this is because you want to create a tonal centrum. And this is hard to explain, but it's about you want to keep the feeling of F minor. So when you pitch out like this, it's hard to keep track of what key you're in. So you want the listener to be able to recognize a few key notes. Alright, so we'll just pull it back, pull it right. Thing is, if you pull it to 62 like this, and this is a bit hard in Logic, it won't go to 63. You have to fight a bit with it. But on 62, obviously it's going to go to the note E, which is a half step below F. And then you won't have the same effect at all. You want it to go all the way up to F. Like this. And now it will just rise. We can do F on the 4 last notes. So that's the F, and that's what we start on the F and we come back to the F. And this is very important. So now we have a basic pitch riser here, very simple. And we can listen to how it sounds. And if you want the bass to play all the way, you can just drag it out like this. Everybody fucking jump! So this sounds very much like Martin Garrix Animals. But it's actually not that, even though it's alike. So, to the drop. Now we have 2 options. We can even do a cheesy rave drop. It will require a little bit of extra work. Or we can do a basic Martin Garrix pluck drop. We will just start out with that. Now I will just make the melody for... yeah. And I'll be right back with you. Alright guys, I'm sorry, I was a bit far away from the mic. I'm back and I've created a little melody. It's not the best in the world, but and also I will pull up the volume here a little bit so you can hear. It sounds like this. Okay, so obviously it's way too little reverb. I can hear that now. I'll pull out the vet signal quite a bit. That's much better. Alright, so let's have a listen to the drop and everything. so it sounds quite good. It doesn't sound very professional, but that in a good mix, a lot more effects, more layering, a better master, a bit of compression here and there, a little tweaking. Obviously, on every, I can't stress this enough, on every single track, no matter if it's bust, no matter what, if it's just playing one single note, you need to have EQ on every single one. You just need to do it, because if not, every frequency will be fighting with each other, and the computer doesn't handle that for you. So you have to do that for yourself. I will not do this now, of course, because it takes a long time, and you really should use a lot of time doing it. But now we have a decent result.
Everybody fucking jump!
Obviously, it's a little bit messed up, but you get the point. Also, I've added a snare. This is just something I sampled, which is just typical to have right before between the two. Every second bar. Okay. So when the drop has played 4 beats, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now, in these last 4 bars of the beats of the drop, an ordinary drop is in about 8 bars, and you just need to add something, a little something. It can be a synth, another synth, layering. That takes a bit too much time. I won't do that now, but a very ordinary thing to do is just to add a cymbal and adjust a crash or a ride. Often a crash, which is quite high end. So I will do that now, just to add a bit of action to my drop. I will exit the plugin and see what Logic has to offer me here. Drums and percussion. Let's go to the techno kit again, and we can listen to what kind of. So this is a big crash, and this is the open hat. So obviously this is quite messy, but I can use the open hat for this one. I will just add the notes, and then I can use obviously just the kick. Sorry about that. Just the kick note here. Let me just copy that. The mouse is low battery, so it's fucking up quite a bit. I'm sorry about that. So that's not the right notes. I'll just change that to. It was that one, and we'll just drag it out for the rest of the drop. I'm sorry, it's like that, and then we have something is evolving, hopefully that's not loud enough at all. Okay, so what's usual to do is also to, when it's changing between the first and second part of the drop, you will just copy things, because that makes it easier to cut and stuff. You cut out the last beat, like this. So it will sound like this. And this is very nice. Very typical. Also here EQ, of course, add a lot of remove all the unnecessary, which is not high end like that. This is okay, but obviously if you take your time, do it better, and yeah, you use a little bit of your head, you can and your ears, of course. That's the most important thing. you will probably have a great result. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, give it a like, subscribe if you will, and I will see you next time. Hello everyone. Now we're just gonna play the track for you so you can hear what it sounded like in the end. Just let me... Okay guys, that was the track, and I'll see you next time.